And now, the nations of the world, brought to you by Donald Trump. United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic, Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean, Greenland, El Salvador, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela, Honduras, Guyana, and still Guatemala, Bolivia, then Argentina, and Ecuador, Chile, Brazil, Costa Rica, Belize, Nicaragua, Bermuda, Bahamas, Tobacco, San Juan, Paraguay, Uruguay, Suriname, and French Guiana, Barbados, and Guam, Norway, and Sweden, and Iceland, and Finland, and Germany, now in one piece. Switzerland, Austria, Czechoslovakia, Italy, Turkey, and Greece, Poland, Romania, Scotland, Albania, Ireland, Russia, Oman, Bulgaria, Saudi Arabia, Hungary, Cyprus, Iraq, and Iran, there, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Jordan, both Yemen, Kuwait, and Bahrain, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, Belgium, and Portugal, France, England, Denmark, and Spain, India, Pakistan, Burma, Afghanistan, Thailand, Nepal, and Bhutan, Cambodia, Malaysia, then Bangladesh, Asia, and China, Korea, Japan, Mongolia, Laos, and Tibet, Indonesia, the Philippine Islands, Taiwan, Sri Lanka, New Guinea, Sumatra, New Zealand, then Borneo, and Vietnam, Tunisia, Morocco, Uganda, Angola, Zimbabwe, Djibouti, Botswana, Mozambique, Zambia, Swaziland, Gambia, Guinea, Algeria, Ghana, Burundi, Lesotho, and Malawi. The Spanish Sahara is gone. Nigeria, Chad, Liberia, Egypt, Benin, and Gabon, Tanzania, Somalia, Kenya, and Mali, Sierra Leone, and Algeria, Namibia, Senegal, Libya, Cameroon, Congo, Zaire, Ethiopia, Guinea, Bissau, Madagascar, Rwanda, Majorca, and Cayman, Hong Kong, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Yugoslavia, Great Mauritania, Pennsylvania, Monaco, Liechtenstein, Malta, and Palestine, Australia, Sudan.
What the hell? Oh my God, wait, did my brother have his baby?
No. It turns out men can't get pregnant.
Since when?
Since Trump took office, somehow men's ovaries stopped functioning correctly, and it's just weird.
How could he get back into office? I mean, couldn't all those billionaires stop him?
Well, a lot of them started helping him, like Elon, after he took over Twitter.
Huh?
Oh, Elon bought Twitter, then saved free speech. It was a whole thing, and then he campaigned for Trump, and now he's helping Trump run the government.
But Elon always hated Trump.
Used to. Now he loves Trump. Everybody loves Trump now.
Everybody?
I'll bet you want to shave your legs and wash those sheets.
I just need to relax and get my bearings. This is so stressful.
I'll get you a razor.
You know what'll help me? What if we take a few days off and rent that little beach house in the Gulf of Mexico?
Gulf of America.
What?
Well, there's no Gulf of Mexico anymore. Now it's called the Gulf of America. Please.
Why?
Trump.
Oh my God, this guy needs to be stopped.
Very cool, right?
Look, are there any other big changes I should know about before I try to get back into this coma?
Oh, you can say gay and retarded again.
That is so offensive. Nobody would even say that.
God, Nikki, you need to clean this place up. The whole house smells retarded.
Oh, that is so politically incorrect.
Oh yeah, political correctness no longer exists.
Why not?
Trump.
This guy is the devil.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want. It's just other people are then responsible for the feelings that their body creates based on their interpretation of your words. We're calling it now self-responsibility.
Are you being serious right now?
Yeah.
That's retarded.
Don't forget to clean that up.
Too much. Too much. But the thing is this, when you're talking about, let's say, videos like that, especially the third one, right? But it's true. It's what the reason why you laugh at something like that is because it's true. It's like, yeah, you could use words that we were told by the hard left, you can't use. And welcome everybody to the front line with Joe and Joe Pasillo, Joe Rossinello. We know it's not Thursday. We had some technical issues, but we did. As we always try to do, make sure that we make it up and we go on. So thanks for joining us here. We're going way in the breach tonight. The Democrats, the far left, we're going to show it to you. It's not me and Joe saying it. It's not conspiracy theory. We're going to show you right out of their mouth exactly what they think about anybody who voted for Donald Trump or anybody who disagrees with their far left agenda, who might not have voted for Trump but said, I'm not voting for those animals on the left. Jamie Raskin's got something to say to you. We got to talk about the Supreme Court because of the trans insanity, all right? And the idea that Ketanji Brown Jackson is actually sitting on the Supreme Court. I mean, Joe and I have something to say about that, okay? Monolithic is not the EU. EU's not monolithic when it comes to tariffs, when it comes to trading with America. Joe and I are going to break that down also, okay? We need economic and financial literacy in this country. We're going to talk about that too. So we got a lot of good things to show you. Joe, what's happening in New Jersey? What's going on?
Oh, same craziness, dude. Spring is here, pollen's here, allergies, crazy people on the road.
Crazy people in the government.
It's funny. It's campaign season here in New Jersey, and there's signs. There's someone running on basically the platform. Their marketing pitches: "Stop Trump, stop Musk." And I'll be honest with you. I don't know how you could have a problem with Elon Musk. Now, here's the one, caveat. He's an oligarch and he's contributing to the system. That's a problem. But that has been a problem well before Trump. In fact, and we've talked about this on other shows, by August of election season, the Democrats had $100 million more from oligarchs.
Right.
The problem that they have is he's the richest man in the world and he's giving to Donald Trump. That's the problem. It's not about the oligarchs. And what he's trying to do is clean up waste. How anyone could have a problem with that, I don't know. And we're going to talk about that in the first clip with Raskin. And the only thing I can conclude is they fundamentally disagree with the founding of this country. I don't know what else to conclude. They want to fundamentally change America. That was what Obama ran on, change, and he meant it. Yeah. And he executed that during Biden's presidency because Biden was a puppet president. I don't think anyone is going to argue that. Biden clearly didn't work a full day, and now the press has to face the music because they just gave him way too much cover, and it was embarrassing. Yeah. But with that said, Joe, they simply do not agree with the founding of America. And one last point, they're willing to burn the whole country down if they don't get their way and rule over the rubble.
Well, that's the thing. I was watching a clip the other day. Thanks for joining us here at the front line with Joe and Joe Pasillo, Joe Rossinello going into the breach. Joe, I saw a clip of Robert Rubin. You remember Robert Rubin? He was in the Clinton administration.
I do.
Okay.
He's an oligarch.
He's an oligarch. And here's the thing: is like if I wish I was on that stage, with one of those people who sits there like this, thinking, like they think he's such a deep thinker. I would tell him, Secretary Rubin, I forgot what position. I guess he was on the economic advisors or Secretary of Treasury or one of those positions. Now I say, Mr. Rubin, let me ask you a question. He gets done saying, it's really immense the damage that Donald Trump, and I'm paraphrasing, that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing to the government. Mr. Rubin, you constantly tell us how smart you all are. Don't you understand that that's the point? That is the point of Doge? Is to do damage to what the government has been doing to us. How Jamie Raskin, and we're going to play the clip in a couple minutes, how Jamie Raskin or anybody who could disagree with Doge, you know what Doge is, Joe? Doge is Donald Trump owns the house. And Elon Musk is the butler, okay? And Donald Trump says to his butler, Elon, I think can you go check my room? I think it's a mess. And Elon goes in and he basically comes out and says, Mr. Trump, your place is a mess. Your master suite is a mess. The bathroom in there is a mess. The bed's a mess. Everything's a mess. In other words, I've just looked at it, and there's things all over the place, and there's things that shouldn't be occurring. And so I gotta. So here's the diagnosis, and I'm giving it to you. What do you want me to do? And then Trump says, Elon, go and make the bed. Elon, go and clean up the bathroom. Elon, go in there and go do it. And he's not even telling Elon to do it. Okay, he's basically saying to us, we, the government, the Congress, the Senate, the House, this is how messy everything is. I sent Elon in and he came back with a report because he's one of the people who do it. He says, this is what we're spending money on. And Jamie Raskin and Robert Rubin and all these people get mad and say, I don't want you spending money on this stuff. I am an American citizen. I don't want you spending money on this stuff, on the things that you waste money on. I don't want you to do it. Do I have a right to do that, Congressman Raskin? Joe, I need a comment before the vein pops out.
It defies all logic because here's the thing. The system worked for Rubin. The system works for the oligarchs. It doesn't work for people anymore. It doesn't work. The Congress doesn't work anymore. And any normal person, regular person who basically has a problem with finding waste, that's what all auditors do. I was an auditor for many, many years. You find problems. And to be honest with you, if you're smart, the business is thankful for that. If I run a business and you're my auditor and you identify fraud and or waste, I'm doing you a favor.
Yeah.
And regular people who pay taxes who have a problem with that, I just don't understand. No, but I kind of do, because the ideology comes before everything else. And frankly, this, like, we'll call it resistance movement, is all about that. They don't care that our cities have fallen into ruin. They don't care that we only have 8% of manufacturing in America. They don't care that there's a wasteland going on in the middle of the country. They don't care that the people haven't been taken care of as a result of a what's it called? In North Carolina, what was it? An
hurricane.
Hurricane. They don't care. They and their actions or lack thereof say that. They simply don't care, because the way it was worked for me. And I don't care if you're struggling. I don't care.
Well, isn't that what Jamie Raskin is really here? Let's play the clip. We'll talk more about it.
So I like that idea, and it's a complement to something that we need to be doing right now, which is engaging in far more work of transnational democratic solidarity with the democratic governments and the democratic movements and peoples and parties of the world.
Totally agree.
To try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us. But implicit in it should be the idea that if and when we come back to power, and we will, we are not going to look kindly upon people who facilitated, to use a word of the day, who facilitated authoritarianism in our country. Because that's an assault on our Constitution and on our people.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is not doing that to Democrats and people who voted against him. But Jamie Raskin says, when we get back into power, you're going to pay.
100%.
You are going to pay.
Joe,
because you acted like an American and you voted with your conscience. We're going to make you pay because you didn't vote for us. Jamie Raskin is a dangerous dude. Joe, I can't say certain things on social media that are in my head right now. Let's just suffice it to say, and I'm throwing it over to you, Jamie Raskin just proved what you said. He does not believe in America.
No. Well, he believes in America that works for him, and basically it's the top % of the country. Jamie Raskin, when he uses all those words like authoritarianism, fascism, that's just projection.
That's him.
That's exactly right. It's exactly right. Everything, a lot of times people tell you what they're going to do by who they say you are. And that was a lot of the Biden regime. They basically kind of tipped their hat to many things by what they were going to do when they called Trump certain things. Everything they said Trump was, they were.
That's
Everything.
what they do.
And that's exactly what he's talking about. And the thing that's sad is too many people, they get covered from the press. That's a given. Too many people buy it. The regular person. I got news for you. If you're normal, i.e. you make a normal living, as in you're just like a regular person paying your bills, you're getting flushed down the toilet. Guess who isn't? Jamie Raskin.
Jamie Raskin is going to be the flusher.
That's right.
He's going to
the saddest part of it all.
This is what I mean about these people when they try. This is the thing that angers me more than anything, is when they try to make it seem like we're too stupid to understand what he's saying. You are my oppressor, Congressman Raskin. You're telling me that I don't dare vote for Elon Musk to go in there and expose all the spending that I have a right to know where you're spending that money. And I blame Republicans for this too, because they're such, let me not use the word, cowards. How about that? Cowards. They let this go on for years. And because I'm seeing it, because Trump told us that he was going to go in here and do that, and I voted for him for a number of reasons, but partly because of that, you're telling me that I'm going to pay. What is the price I'm going to pay? That's the thing. That so-called journalist, right? Like Jamie Raskin would never come on this show and say, "What price am I going to pay?"
What's the same
Mr.
threat
Raskin?
that they said to the Supreme Court? It's a threat against American citizens. It's basically like, give me your tax money
And shut up. Shut
That's
up.
exactly what that is. Give me your tax money and shut up. We know better than you, and you will do what you are told. I'm going to tell you one of the strategies of this regime. They basically put a sin. It's a vice in front of you, whether it's abortion, whether it's same-sex marriage. They just kind of put it in front of your face. You reach for it, and then they rob you. And they expect you to hold on to that carrot and say, well, this is what I did for you, so shut up.
Right.
Shut up. And many people are very happy gnawing on that carrot in the corner, and they don't care if the rest of the country burns to the ground.
Joe, feminism. Feminism comes to mind. The radical feminists. Give them abortion, they'll do whatever you want. They'll do whatever you want. They'll vote for you, waste their money. All these high-powered women who work in New York in law firms and on Wall Street, they don't care. They're making a lot of money. And their secretaries who are not making a lot of money, they're in the same boat. Give me my abortion and you could do what you want. That's it. E. Michael Jones points this out all the time, including feminists and others. Sexual liberation. Give me my sexual liberation. Make sure you protect it. Make sure you protect my precious right to kill my child in the womb, and I will vote for you 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. Jamie Raskin knows that. He knows that. He knows that radical feminists, they'd put a bullet in your and my head, Joe, in 3 seconds. Like if they had the ability to. Jamie Raskin would do the same thing. He wants to talk about Donald Trump's a fascist and an authoritarian. Jamie Raskin is no better than Mao and Hitler and Stalin and the rest of them, because he's telling you, as a citizen, you don't dare vote against my party. You don't dare want to open up the books, because then you're a fascist. And by the way, when Joe, when we come back to power, you're going to pay. Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to impose taxes on people who have white skin rather than black skin, or people who are from Europe or descended from Europeans rather than, let's say, for argument's sake, Hispanics from south of the border? What are you going to do? Because we know you have no boundaries, Congressman Raskin. Your party has no boundaries when it comes to anything. There's nothing that's going to convince me that Jamie Raskin wouldn't put us all in internment camps. There's nothing that would convince me of that. And he would promote that, because you're a danger to the democracy. Joe, give me a final word on Mr.
I'll
Raskin.
just to put a finer point on what you said, Hillary Clinton basically said comments that people have to be re-educated. That's out of her own mouth. What do you mean?
Mao. She's Mao. That's what Mao said. That's what.
But that's my point.
Cambodians
What do
did.
you mean by that? Like that's her words.
Right.
So this is my point. They're not interested. And we've seen this in Europe, because Europe's not even pretending anymore to be a democracy. They're not even pretending. I could give you example after example. They are not interested in what people think. And frankly, the Republican Party, the media, the oligarchs that give money to the government are all in the same boat, because they're unaffected. They're above the fray. Many countries operate under that premise. South America is a perfect example. 5% of the country lives incredibly well. The rest of the country is a wreck. And that is, a lot of these people are in that 5%. They're above the fray. And then you have the charlatans like AOC and Bernie Sanders, who say what I just said, but they compromise deeply, deeply. They're putting forth ideas that the American people are not interested in. Even Democrats, like a true Democrat, a 50-year-old union teacher, a truck driver. Do you think that they're on board with AOC? A Democrat? No, absolutely not.
But them too. They're told, we give you your union, we protect your unions, we do what we can for you.
Give me the vote, and then you sit in the corner.
That's it, and just go and shut up.
That's exactly
why they don't
right.
like what's his name, the head of the Teamsters. But here, listen, Joe, the one good thing about the left, at least, or the one good things about the good thing, there's nothing good about the left. The good thing about the times that we live in is new media, social media, and the fact that they're letting you know all this. I have a fear at some point it's going to come to a red civil war, not a white civil war. I think it's going to come to a red civil war. I hope it doesn't. It'll be because of people like Raskin, but he'll blame everybody else. He'll blame white supremacy or Christian nationalism or racism or something like that. But here's their playbook right out of their mouth.
Generally happens with people like me is when we're done with the trench warfare of campaigns, which is low-paying and grueling work. Big corporations hire people like me to come inside and implement the playbook. And here's the way the playbook works. First, they attack you broadly and they question your facts. They say you're lying and it's ferocious. But if you keep on moving after that, they move on to character assassination. They take on who you are as a person. They dig up everything bad in your past and leak it to the press. If you had a fender bender, you're a reckless driver. If you paid a bill late, you're a deadbeat, and so on and so on. Every part of your life goes under their microscope. They try to embarrass you. They try to make you say this fight isn't worth what it's costing me, and you quit. But if that doesn't stop you, and it stops most people, but it didn't stop Bobby, they say you're a liar. If liar doesn't work, they say you're an anti-Semite and a racist. Crazy or kook or crank or nut job are their mainstays. That's their nuclear option. Because if they can get everyone to dismiss you as a wacko nut job, everything you say is suspect. If all the publications and TV shows you trust tell you someone's a crazy person, they must be a crazy person, right? This is New York Magazine in 1995. This is New York Magazine in 2023. This is Vanity Fair in 2006. This is Vanity Fair in 2023. This is Rolling Stone in 1992. This is Rolling Stone in 2023.
All you need to see. Here's a guy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is a Democrat. He's not a Republican. He's not an independent. He's a Democrat, okay? And they will not listen to any voices of dissent within their own party. And heaven forbid, remember, Bobby Kennedy is not in the Trump administration to support anything other than what Donald Trump has asked him to do, which is namely health, and going after the pharmaceutical industry, which about time we go after the pharmaceutical industry, okay? That's all he's doing. He's not supporting Trump on a lot of things. He's not supporting him. He's just staying silent on those things, and he's doing what he wants, what his passion is, and Trump is giving him the ability to do it, and that guy is exactly right about the way they vilify Bobby Kennedy. And what did he do? He's doing what he said he would do for the last 20, 30 years when the Democrats loved him. The problem is he's doing it in the Trump administration.
Oh, that's a given. But, it's also interesting. Bobby Kennedy, to your point, is a Democrat. He is a Democrat. Period. End of story. He is not even slightly conservative. Slightly. And one of the things that I find very interesting, particularly coming from Trump, but coming from a lot of people like us too, you're a conspiracy theorist. Why is it that a lot of the quote unquote conspiracy theorists and the theories that were put forth, we'll just say 5 years ago, spring of 2020, right around the heart of COVID, all turned out to be true?
Right.
All turned out to be true. And that's the funny part about it, how the media, and that's what that clip was basically focusing on, the power of the media. The media, how it twists and turns people. It's how you control the population. How you control the population is how the media is controlled.
Right.
And that is so apparent. And many people see it now. I mean, I just saw like a roundtable on CNN. They had somebody from 60 Minutes on, and he was getting the business. They have no credibility, zero.
Oh.
And one of the most prophetic statements out of Donald Trump's mouth, and this was said a long time ago, the media is the enemy of the American people.
Absolutely.
And he is 100% correct.
They start by calling you a conspiracy theorist. Then when the conspiracy turns out to be correct and you see it and it's in the news, then what they simply do is ignore it. I'll give you perfect case in point. And this goes back 25 years. 5 months before 9/11, Alex Jones went on the air and said the World Trade Center towers are going to be attacked by airplanes, and they are going to blame a Central Asian Muslim terrorist. That was 5 months before 9/11. Then it happened. They dismissed him earlier, and they've always dismissed him as a conspiracy nut. How do you dismiss that? How do you dismiss something that was so spot on? And he's been right about so many other things. The fact now that we know what the CIA has been doing for decades, okay? We know that they had a part in the Kennedy assassination. The phrase conspiracy theorist was invented by the CIA to dismiss those who would question the findings of the Warren Commission. They invented the phrase, and the media just licks it right up. And anybody, well, that's just conspiracy theory. Actually, it's not. Actually, the fact that all the countries of the world, like we played Jamie Raskin talking about transnational democratic movements. I don't want to be in bed with them, Mr. Raskin. You want to know why? Because people like you allow them to rob us with tariffs. They charge us 200% on our products. We charge them nothing on their products coming into America. That's one of the reasons why, and you got to hear, by the way, just as an aside, I've been following the market a lot, Joe, and the whole tariffs and everything. The liberal media like Bloomberg, even in the financial, like they make it seem like the world's coming to an end because Donald Trump wants basic fairness with the tariffs.
Know why? I'll tell you know why, Joe? Because it affects the market and it affects them. You see, it helps. It could potentially, the verdict, it's not out yet, but it could potentially help regular people. Why they're saying that? Oh, because my wealth is centered in on that.
Right.
The lower half of the country has less than 1% in the market.
Right.
That's why. And it's another message to regular people. I don't care about you. I care about me. I don't care about you. It's masked in that rhetoric. Their whole all their wealth. The hedge funds, the private equity, the mutual funds, all of it. That's who's telling you that. Talk to the guy in the middle of Indiana who basically is working for minimum wage and has 3 children.
Right.
How are you supposed to live?
Well, he doesn't care. He doesn't care if NVIDIA stock is at 150 or 100.
He doesn't even know what NVIDIA is.
Right. He doesn't care if Apple stock takes a 30% shave. All he knows is this. Donald Trump's trying to negotiate deals that put money in my pocket. And if their shares take a hit because they have to pay higher labor costs, then so be it. But they have to start paying me a fair and just wage. And that includes immigrants, which we're going to get into in a couple minutes with Stephen Miller, who, by the way, is a very the guy's a pit bull. I love him. I really do.
Dude, he's phenomenal.
He is phenomenal. We'll talk about immigration and all the ways they've driven down wages in this country. Jamie Raskin is the point of this. The far left are threatening Americans is the title of this whole video. And that's the theme of this video. Everything they do, from what they did to Bobby Kennedy, what they're doing to Donald Trump, what they're doing to Elon Musk, everything is threats coming from them because they don't want to shake up their status quo. But
Joe,
they're the ones who
are
always
domestic terrorists. Again, projection. They're burning car dealerships down. That's domestic terrorism.
Right.
That simply is. They always point to January 6th, and that was an embarrassment. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'll give you that embarrassment, which, by the way, it's been proven that the government had a hand in that as well.
Right.
So that's another aside. How do they get into the chamber? How did they get into the chamber? Please. But that I'll put aside. What I'm saying is they are the domestic terrorists. Everything that they say we are, they are.
Right. No, it's exactly right. And when we complain, all right, Joe, I think there's somebody in the chat room says that we don't know anything about economics. Well, listen, GP, and first of all, I'm not a white. I don't know what a white is, GP. So if you want to be civil in the chat room, tell us what we don't know about economics. Because I promise you this, I know a lot more than you, and so does my brother-in-law, okay, Joe Resinello. But anyway, so let's go to let's go to Stephen Miller.
How many stories I could tell you of children that were trafficked across the border and raped because of the policies of Joe Biden? There aren't enough volumes that could fit into a library to calculate the carnage that has been inflicted by the Democrat Party's policy of open borders. We can spend the rest of our lives trying to document those harms. Where does our whole country go to get repaid for all of the wealth, all of the prosperity and security that has been stolen from us by decades of uncontrolled illegal mass migration. Because we all deserve reparations for what has been stolen from us. It is a tragedy that defies our ability to even describe it.
How about that?
I want reparations. I want reparations. I had to pay $7,000 in taxes this year. Where is that going? To a play in Ecuador to teach kids about transgenderism? I'm sorry. I have a say, and I don't want my money going there. Right. And that doesn't make me a bad person. That just makes me a sane person. And ultimately, any person who has a problem with that, I'll be truthful with you, you're insane. You don't get it. You don't get it. And you don't understand normal people, because normal Democrats are not for that. And what he's saying is 100% right. I want reparations for decades of theft of my hard-earned money.
Well, no, that's exactly right. And I want, how about this, leaving aside the reparations, I want the ship righted. That's what I want. I want families to be incentivized so women can come out of the workforce who don't want to be in the workforce. I want all the visas revoked for foreign workers, except in very specific cases. And I want every illegal immigrant in this country deported. That's what I want. You don't want to know why? Not because I'm heartless, because you allowed it to happen. You forced us into this position. Our wages have gone down for decades, and I want our wages to be back up. There's the reparations I want. And I want Trump to do what he said recently. I'm not softening my position. I want an abolition of the personal income tax. However, Trump did say what he's considering is a tax only on the wealthy at, I hope, a flat rate, and then abolish taxes for all working and middle class people. So if he did something like that, if he raised the deduction to like $250,000 and anybody making below $250,000 doesn't pay taxes, I'll take it. I'll take it. But the bottom line is this, those are the reparations I want. You want to know why? Reparations come down a lot of times, Joe, to just flat out revenge. I'm not interested in revenge. The Democrats effed up the country. The far left threatens Americans who want something done about it. All I want is for the ship to be righted. And Donald Trump is being disappointing. I'll be honest with you. Okay. Like there's certain things that we voted for him for that I was talking with my wife about that we're not seeing. Okay, I'm not seeing Adam Schiff sweating because he's under investigation. I haven't seen an Epstein list unless I'm going crazy, unless I like they flashed it and I missed it. I haven't seen a lot of things. Now I know Trump's got to do one thing at a time, but Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, all the people that he put there that were there to do certain things, I want those things to get done. I want to see Jamie Raskin squirm a little bit.
Well, that's what I want a little bit. But at the end of the day, people like him, and I got news for you, even like people on the quote-unquote right, they're no good to regular people. They don't care. Lindsey Graham, decades of wasting American people's time. He's got to go. He's got to go.
Right.
And they're useless. Cory Booker, Spartacus, useless. Yeah. Utter and absolute waste of air, space, and time. And they've got to go.
And the worst actor, that guy, when he puts on
he's
that
not
face,
even, like, to your point, he's not even good at what he does.
He's terrible. You know what he is? He's a dinner theater actor. All right. And nothing against dinner theater actors, because I used to do dinner theater back in the day. Okay. But I've seen dinner theater actors that are much better than Cory Booker. But here's one thing. We're dealing with a lot of this radical stuff. Obviously, we've been dealing with it for quite some time. Here, let's talk about, transgenderism, okay? Here you go. Here's a couple clips for you.
I just want to make sure I understand a few fact things and then a law question. What age do you, in Montgomery County, teach students normally about human sexuality?
I think that it begins in either 4th or 5th grade.
The human sexuality class.
The family life and human sexuality curriculum.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure.
Starts in 4th or 5th grade, you think?
So.
Is there anything you can point us to in the record on that?
I don't think so.
Okay. And second, these books are being used in English class.
The division between English class and other things in a 2nd grade classroom doesn't really exist. You're sort of in a room with a teacher and sometimes...
No, I appreciate that. I went to 2nd grade too.
Yeah.
But it's part of the English curriculum that these books are being used in. I thought that was...
Yeah, I'm not fighting the premise. I'm just saying that
it's not the math class.
It is not.
It's not the human sexuality class.
It is
It's the
certainly
English
not the
class.
human sexuality class. I'm just sort of fighting the premise that there's a neat distinction.
Okay, and they're being used in English language instruction at age 3. Some of them.
So Pride Puppy was the book that was used for the pre-kindergarten curriculum. That's no longer in the curriculum.
That's the one where they are supposed to look for the leather and things and bondage, things like that.
It's
right?
not
And
bondage. It's a woman in a leather.
Sex worker, right?
No.
No?
That's not correct. No.
I read it.
It's a drag queen. And
Drag
So-
queen and drag
Correct.
queen.
The leather that they're pointing to is a woman in a leather jacket, and one of the words is drag queen in the search.
And they're supposed to look for those.
It is an option at the end of the book, correct?
Yeah, okay. And you've included these in the English language curriculum rather than the human sexuality curriculum to influence students. Is that fair? That's what the district court found. Do you agree
I
with
think
that?
to the extent the district court found that it was to influence them towards civility. The natural consequence of being exposed
Whatever, but to influence them.
in the manner that I just mentioned, yes.
And responding to parents who are concerned, do you agree that there was some intemperate language used?
I don't know that those were responding to parents who were concerned. This was after the fact for most of these comments. And this was in a very public setting, which obviously got heated, and some intemperate comments were used, certainly.
Yeah. And I wanted to understand your context that you were giving about the statement that some Muslim families, it's unfortunate that this issue puts some Muslim families on the same side of an issue as white supremacists and outright bigots. I think in response to Justice Sotomayor, you were trying to give some context to that?
I don't think I was speaking directly about that comment. I think that comment was given or was made in June, which was several months after the decision to withdraw the opt-outs was made. I don't have context for that statement, no.
Okay. And then the legal question. Why isn't discrimination against religion a burden on religion? If a state, now this is hypothetical, not moving away from the record, if state actors intentionally discriminate against religion, what secular purpose, valid secular purpose could that serve? And how wouldn't that be a burden?
So I don't know, I mean, it depends on the hypothetical, what the state is doing and whether there's a secular purpose. That's hard to imagine one. But if the state is discriminating
Against Muslims or Catholics or Protestants or whatever.
I think this court has recognized that when an enactment that discriminates on its face, or has recognized with respect to an enactment that discriminates on its face, it is intrinsically coercive. That's how the court has performed the burden inquiry. If you are privileging one religion over another, you are coercing people to subscribe to that particular set of beliefs in order to get—
So that's a burden?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
I need your thoughts, Joe.
That is their religion. You see, they have a religion, and they don't like my religion. They have a religion. They're forcing it down everyone's throat. Orthodox Jews, Muslims, Protestants, Christians, and anyone else who's not interested in their religion, and you have to pay taxes and you have no say. What country is that? Where do I live?
America.
America.
That's America.
America.
Here,
And-
keep it going. This is a short one, and then we'll come right back to that point. Here's a Supreme Court justice.
Can choose to put their kid elsewhere. You don't have to send your kid to public school. I'm struggling to see how it burdens a parent's religious exercise if the school teaches something that the parent disagrees with. You have a choice. You can homeschool them.
Okay, no, you can't. No, you can't. The point is, if you live in New Jersey, you're getting and you own a home and you have kids, you're getting hosed in property taxes beyond belief. The state won't allow. The state will force you to say, "Yeah, well, you could send your kid to Seton Hall Prep or Bergen Catholic or Don Bosco or Paramus Catholic. You could send St. Benedict's, or you could send your kid to that school, but you're not getting a break on your property tax.
Bingo.
You're going to still pay for you're going to still pay for the public school that you don't want to send your kids to. That's a Supreme Court justice. All right,
And here's
saying
another
that.
thing. Here's another thing. So many people. By the way, this is the same group of people that kept children out of public schools during the COVID era when less than 0.03% of them got COVID and or were in danger of dying. My kids went to private school. went to school during COVID. So did the teachers, and nothing happened to them. Zero. Clearly, that was political leverage. That was basically another thing shoved down the throat of regular people. Let's circle back to this. Tell that to a dental hygienist and her husband's a cop. Oh, you could homeschool your kids, and they have 3 kids. How they could barely live. They could barely eat.
Right.
They could barely afford their rent and or their mortgage. They could barely afford 2 cars. Tell that to the normal person. Oh, if you make $500,000 a year, if you make $300,000 a year, yeah, you could maybe do that. And are you qualified to homeschool? Tell that to the immigrant family in a poor working class town where grandma, who doesn't speak English, is watching 4 kids while mom and dad is trying to just eke out a living so people can live. And they're going to homeschool because they don't like your religion, and it is your religion. And I have to pay for it. So let's put up a compromise. How about that? Since it's a public school and you don't like my religion, I don't like yours. So how about we just teach the subject? But they're not for that either.
Right.
Your opinion doesn't matter and doesn't count, but give me your tax money. And Ketanji Brown, to say that shows absolute and utter contempt for every working class person from Hawaii to Maine.
Right. Well, that's why she's there. She's there. She's there. They put up the black woman, young black woman. She'll be on the court for a long time. They put her up. This way, when Republicans like Josh Hawley ask her pointed questions as a radical that she is, they could say he's racist. Even Durbin said, it seems like there's a lot of racist tones going on. Why? Because they asked her tough questions? Why? Because she's got thin skin, or you don't want her to answer certain. Of course, you don't want her to answer certain questions, because what she said in that clip would have come out in her nomination hearings. All right, and most people would have said, "What? She's like again going back to the working class Democrat. I got to send my kid to a public school because I can't send them anywhere else. And this is what you're going to teach my kid? You're not giving me any right to opt out of this or anything like that?" We saw this for 4 years under Biden. But what makes parents qualified? Because that's my kid. That's the only qualification I need.
And why do you even have to say that? You have every right as a parent. You're forming your kid. They're my kid. I'm Catholic. I don't want my kid to read about a guy or a girl in leather talking about, I don't want that. And I have every right to say that. And most people in America would agree with me that a child at the age of 5 shouldn't be hearing that.
That's right.
You don't know what you're talking about. No, I actually kind of do, because it's my kid. If you want to teach your kid that, you're free to do it. But when my money is involved, no, you're not.
Right.
And I have a say. And most Americans are on my side.
That's right.
On that issue.
Hey, listen, most Americans are applauding the what do you call it? The abolition of the Department of Education. Most people in the states, okay, most of the states, let's say, are red. Most of the states happen to lean more to be more conservative, and most of the states want to educate their kids on a state and local level. They don't want the Department of Education breathing down their neck, threatening them all the time about money and everything else. Trump had the right idea. That's why this is all intertwined. Everything that Trump is trying to do, because everything that the left does, there's nothing that's there by accident. Okay, they have the Federal Reserve, they have the Department of Education, they have all these different things. That's why it's so difficult to break it apart, because they put all of this together, and you got to take a hammer to it. You can't just use like you can't just use pick away at it. You got to break it apart with a sledgehammer.
Also, interestingly enough, now that's on C-SPAN. That's right out. That's a trial on C-SPAN. Why did you hear that on the press? Did you hear any coverage?
No, they didn't want to talk about this.
No, but this is my point, because they know it's a loser.
Yeah.
They know that's a loser. You have to go to C-SPAN. Who goes to C-SPAN? Nobody. And this is my point. They're not on the side of the regular person. New Jersey, when they passed these laws, they passed them at 4:30 on a Friday.
And that's New Jersey.
Exactly. Because they know
most people,
that parents aren't for this. It's an ideology and it's their religion. And we're paying for it. And here's another thing. Why? Why would you support that? And we talked about that in an earlier discussion on this show. Because they give me abortion. Because they give me same-sex marriage. Because they support my union so I can get my little kernel, and then they rob you on the back end.
Right.
They take it all back. It's a lack of vision. And frankly, if you ask me, it's foolish because you're getting flushed down the toilet too. They don't serve you.
Right.
And
They don't.
you're doing this at the cost of your own children in many cases. Your children, yours. You don't agree with this. Most people don't. Yet you support it because of this stupid thing or that stupid thing. It blows my mind. It's the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life.
No, you're right. And well, another sad thing too is that we had a guy in the chat room calling us both, by the way, economic illiterates, whatever.
Just ignore him. That's the strategy, Joe. I mean,
I'm segueing, Joe. I'm doing the Joe P thing. I'm segueing somewhere. But you know, if we're economic illiterates, then we need what Scott Besson is talking about.
Everyone should care about financial literacy, whether you are a student with a summer job or a part-time job during school, whether you're in college, whether you're starting your career, or whether you are at the end of your career. Making good financial choices creates economic security, and look, it's fun. You learn about the markets, you learn how to properly allocate resources, and there's a big payoff over the long term for something you can do early in your career.
And let me tell you, there's another thing too. They talk about people being educated, and we need to be educated. We need to be educated. They don't want people to have financial literacy. They want people in financial
they love
change.
you to be in debt because that's how the oligarchs make money. Americans don't understand how money works. They don't understand how compound interest works. And I'm going to give everyone a clue on how it works. When you do your taxes, I want you to calculate, very simple, how much interest you pay on your mortgage in a calendar year, on your car, and on your credit cards. It's very simple. It's three things, add up the totals. Look at that number, write it on your refrigerator, and look at it. Every single time you go into your refrigerator to eat. That's the cost, the privilege for you to have what you don't even own. Right. And that is how Americans operate and have operated. We don't understand how to live anymore. And what that man is talking about, and that's a simple thing. Right. That's simple. Whether you live in a garden apartment or frankly, you live in a mansion that you don't own. And ultimately, Americans don't understand that anymore. You see, old world immigrants did. If you had $10 in your pocket, you ate on $10. You had a slice of pizza and a Coke. You didn't go out and spend $30 and then pay 29% interest, $5 a month. And that $20, $30 meal turns into $130. We don't get it. This should be taught at every school, whether you're rich or poor. And frankly, we would be better off for it. But at the root of it, why does that go on? We don't know who we are anymore. We listen to the marketing lies. We listen to the siren, which is the advertisement. You don't need this. You don't, or you want this. I need to have this. You're nobody if you have this. That's a lie. It's the shallowness of our country that so many people have bought into, and it's destroying people. And it's absolutely pervasive.
No, you're exactly right, Joe Arsenello. We're going to have to leave it there for today, Joe, because I have something that I got to go take care of with the wife and the son. That was a great conversation. We're going to leave you with a clip from Steve Bannon, so want to stick around for that. It's only about a 1-minute clip. Thanks for joining us here at the Frontline with Joe and Joe. Joe Pasillo, Joe Rossinello, going away in the breach, usually every Thursday night at 9 o'clock Eastern time. We had make a little adjustment this week, but we will be on this upcoming Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern. We'll have a lot of great clips for you and a lot, hopefully, conversation that you like to hear. Help us out if you like our conversations. Like, subscribe, share, do all that fun stuff. We have all of our Veritas Catholic Radio Network interviews that we do. We post those on social media. Those are very interesting in our opinion. We think you'll find them interesting. And if you like those, please, again, help us out to get out to a wider audience. Thanks once again. And remember, until the next time, that our conversation is your conversation, and that conversation is going on everywhere. We'll talk to you soon.
Are winning right now short term
because of this.
Because of their look, slowing the president. He has 4 years to get a lot done. President Trump has 4 years and about a 30% chance to save our country. And if he does not get this accomplished in the next 4 years, our country's done. We've been overtaken. All these institutions, including the military, have been overtaken by these Marxists. They're subversive. They're doing everything they can every day to destroy our country. It's driven by Obama. It's driven by Soros. It's driven by China. And if President Trump does not succeed in these next 4 years, it's game over, America.